Samsung's Fan Edition series of phones has had a topsy-turvy ride since it was introduced 3 years ago. The original Galaxy S23 FE was actually a surprisingly good phone for the price, but last year's S21 FE didn't exactly move the game on. Samsung says the new S23 FE brings the design, cameras and performance of the flagship S series to a more accessible price point, but the links to the full-fat S23 are tenuous at best, and in fact, the FE's hardware is closer to that of the much cheaper phone, the A54. Therein lies the question: how much of the S23's user experience has Samsung retained with the FE model, and is it enough to justify the price? We spent a brief amount of time with the new phone to give you an answer. At first glance, the S23 FE looks so similar to the A54 that you wonder where the extra money has gone. Like its mid-range sibling, it has a matte frame and a gloss back, instead of the other way around for the regular S23. But the aluminium frame does give it a more premium feel in the hand compared to the A54's plastic construction. It's at the front where the cost-cutting starts to show. There's nothing wrong with the display itself, a 6.4-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display with a 120Hz adaptive refresh rate. But it's almost identical to the A54's display, which means there are a few drawbacks that go against the FE's upmarket positioning. The first is the very visible chin at the bottom, which is not exactly in keeping with the FE's decidedly ambitious pricing. The second is the selfie camera cutout, which for some reason has a silver ring that you won't help but notice. At least there's a hole punch instead of a teardrop cutout, which would have been unacceptable. Like the S23 and, indeed, the A54, the FE features a 50MP main camera with an f1.8 aperture and optical image stabilization, as well as a 12MP ultra-wide with an f2.2 aperture. It does, however, shoot 8K videos at 24 frames per second, a feature the A54 lacks. We did take a few photos during our limited time in suboptimal lighting conditions, and we discovered that the FE's main camera delivers decent but not exceptional images. There's a good amount of detail here, although you do also get quite a lot of noise in low light. As for the ultra-wide, Samsung's image processing works overtime to retain some details, but there are patches of softness, particularly in the corners. One big benefit of going for the FE is the inclusion of a dedicated telephoto camera. In this case, however, it's a measly 8MP unit with an f2.4 aperture and no OIS, meaning that you will have to keep your hands very steady to capture a sharp photo. Even then, the photos are soft, and generally this camera should really only be used in a pinch. Still, it's a nice luxury to have, especially at this price. Flip the phone around and you notice quite a big downgrade with the selfie camera. In terms of resolution, the 10MP f2.4 shooter is not only inferior to the 12MP unit on the S23, but also the 32MP unit on the S21 FE and even the A54. It has to be said, however, that the pure image quality is better than the figure suggests, with an acceptable level of detail. The only big question mark that remains concerns the performance. Samsung has confirmed that the Malaysian version of the FE uses the in-house Exynos 2200 chip, which, while still a flagship class 4nm processor, doesn't come with the cachet of the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 available in certain markets. Samsung does say that the FE comes with a vapor chamber to help improve gaming performance and probably mitigate some of the overheating issues discovered when the chip was launched. For what it's worth, the FE did feel fast and snappy during our very short time with it, as expected for demos like this one. But you'll have to wait until we put the device through its paces in our review for the full lowdown. Elsewhere, the FE features a 4500mAh battery, the same one found in the A54, which should provide better battery life compared to the S23's tiny 3900mAh cell. Additionally, the S23 FE benefits from 15W wireless charging that's not available on the A54. This is shared with the regular S23, as is the 25W wired fast charging. You can also rest assured knowing that the FE has the same IP68 dust and water resistance rating as the S23, an upgrade from the A54's IP67 rating. On first blush, the S23 FE mostly delivers on Samsung's promises. While there are some things it loses over the S23, the basics are mostly there. In fact, the larger display and battery means the FE is likely a more usable device for a vast majority of people. The trouble is, the FE is also too similar to the A54, which just goes to show how much of a good deal the cheaper model is. That in itself says a lot, considering the A54 doesn't exactly offer the best value for money next to its immediate competition. For many, the real sticking point will likely be the chipset. Even if the Exynos 2200 does end up providing a satisfactory level of performance, the fact of the matter is, most people shopping for phones in this price range will be looking for a flagship Snapdragon chip. And at this level, there are just too many great options to pass up, not least of which being the Nothing Phone 2 with last year's 8 Plus Gen 1. Ironically, the FE's biggest threat comes from Samsung itself. The S23 appears to be perennially on sale, going as low as 2,299 ringgit at points, and right now you can get the 256GB model for around 3,500 ringgit. That's not to say that the FE won't come with its own deals. The phone is priced starting at 2,999 ringgit with 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, with the 256GB model costing 300 ringgit more at 3,299 ringgit. However, Samsung is offering double the base storage at the 2,999 ringgit starting price until November 30th. On top of that, you can register to get a 500 ringgit voucher, effectively bringing the price down further to 2,499 ringgit. Even so, this price difference barely justifies the disparity in specs, including what will almost certainly be a chasm in performance between the two phones. It might be worth waiting for a good deal on the S23 or the S23 Plus and just get that instead. Thank you so much for watching this hands-on video of the S23 FE. What do you think? Do you agree with what I said? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and ring the notifications bell icon so you don't miss any of our future videos. Read all the latest tech news on soyachinchao.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter or X, and TikTok as well. As always, stay awesome. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!